Crimean Greeks, Nogais, peoples of the Caucasus and Siberia. All these ethnic groups became victims of mass deportations or bloody conquest back in the Russian Empire. The Soviet Union continued the same practice. Ukrainians, Crimean Tatars, Kazakhs and dozens of other peoples became its victims. According to experts, in this way Moscow maintains control of the occupied territory. Today's Russia, in fact, restricts the rights of indigenous peoples and deliberately provokes interethnic conflicts.
Both in Soviet times and now, different peoples are taught different versions of history. Cuban people sincerely believe that they settled empty lands, moreover gifted to them by Catherine II. One can only sneer at the definition of gifted lands. Russian propaganda tells the Cherkess that it is the settlers from Zaporizhia who are guilty of their genocide, deliberately keeping silent about the fact that this genocide was actually provoked by the Russian Empire. Karachay-Balkars are sure that the Cherkess did not live on these lands at all, but lived exclusively in the Black Sea region. And all this is done in relation to three peoples which, before the intervention of the empire, lived generally peacefully.
In addition to the physical extermination of indigenous peoples, Moscow is also raising their identity. Thus, in the Russian Empire, representatives of the Finno-Ugric peoples were first forced to accept Christianity, and later in censuses, they began to designate all Christians in the Eastern territories as Russians. In the Soviet Union, they generally tried to erase nationality as a sign and replace it with the status of a Soviet person, and the Russian Federation duplicitously uses national minorities for its own purposes, experts say. The main thing is not even the language, but self-identification, which the Russian authorities use in a double way. On the one hand, they seem to be proud of their diversity and use this in order to normalize their own imperialism, shouting about their multi-ethnic strength, about how many different nationalities seem to coexist peacefully in the Russian Federation. But in fact, they throw all these people like cannon fodder in battles against Ukraine. National autonomies exist only formally in today's Russia. In fact, subjects have no freedom of action. Activists believe that Moscow is thus continuing its colonial policy, which all former empires in the world have already abandoned, and they see a chance for liberation from the yoke of the Kremlin in the victory of Ukraine.
We would like to declare on behalf of the Circassians that the Caucasus must eventually gain freedom. The Caucasus must eventually separate from the Russian Empire, and we already have programs, and we are working on creating a confederation of the peoples of the Caucasus, and we believe that we can implement our plans in the near future.
Several organizations have already announced that they are developing their own national projects. Among them are representatives of the peoples of Caucasus, Kuban and Karelia. Reported by Diana Kolesnik, Danilo Kobza, UATV News.